What's going on, everybody? This is Jeff with Living in Arizona, and today we're going to talk about the Arizona monsoon. Well, in particular, the Phoenix area monsoon. Where is it? What's going on here? Here it is, July 11th, and we still haven't seen any real sign of the monsoon. I mean, one night at 12 o'clock at night, I was walking outside and it drizzled a little bit, maybe a week ago. But outside of that, we haven't really seen anything, and we're going to dial this in and see what's going on. Where's the monsoon? What's happening here? Is El Nino affecting it, or is the big city affecting it? And that's what we're going to talk about. So if you're new to Living in Arizona, you could subscribe to this channel right here, Living in Arizona. We got lots of videos for you to go through if you're considering moving here or if you already live here. So also, good news for those of you who are considering moving to Phoenix, because we just created another group that's associated with Living in Arizona called Phoenix Metro. So this is a group just dedicated to people who are thinking about moving to Phoenix. We put a link in the Living in Arizona group also. I'll put both links below. You can join the Phoenix Metro group if you're thinking about moving to Phoenix, and the Living in Arizona group if you're thinking about moving to Arizona, or both, which it appears many people are doing. I just created this group and 29 people have already joined it. We talk about things like Dreamport Village in here, also the new concept or the rendering of what's going on in Gilbert. A lot of construction projects that we can talk about in this group that we don't necessarily talk about in the Living in Arizona group. So it's more specific to happenings around Phoenix. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about this monsoon here. So you can see, if you don't know what a monsoon is, you see all these lightning storms and these crazy pictures like you got right there. This is a real interesting phenomena that takes place in the summer, probably around late June all the way until early September is the time frame. Well, here it is, middle of July, and we still haven't had anything. So what's going on? So we're kind of dialing it in and talking about this El Nino effect that occurs. And we went on to NOAA's website to see if they've got any information about El Nino. They don't necessarily talk about the monsoon season in Phoenix, which we'll talk about here after we take a look at El Nino. But El Nino is a phenomena that takes place where the water gets hot, and then that, because of hot water, it creates more evaporation in the air, which creates more precipitation. And so sometimes you'll see colder winters and hotter summers, but stronger monsoon or less monsoon, depending on if we're in an El Nino or a La Nina. La Nina is the opposite of El Nino, but let's take a look at what they're saying about El Nino. During June, El Nino was reflected in the continued presence of above average sea surface temperatures across the central equatorial Pacific Ocean. However, anomalies across most of the eastern Pacific decreased during the month. Okay, so we saw this in a lot of the tropical areas. They're experiencing record high heats. Hawaii, Thailand, a lot of the tropical regions in the tropics, in particular, Tropic of Cancer, northern hemisphere, is really seeing warmer temperatures in the ocean, and that was affecting Arizona. We had above average precipitation this year. And so let's go ahead and talk about some other stuff related to that. If we go on to the actual, so there's the Farmer's Almanac. Where is that? Right here. 2019 long-range weather forecast for Phoenix. Okay, so they're talking about, in the Farmer's Almanac, what's going on this year. They say July 1 to July 5th, thunderstorms east, sunny west, warm. So this area right here has been seeing some monsoon activity, but they haven't been seeing it down in the Phoenix area. July 6th through the 16th, a few thunderstorms, but warm. 17 to 21, we're not really having any thunderstorms on the radar here, because this is regional. This is not local to us. This is not specific to one local area. And then you can see it looks like the Farmer's Almanac is saying some isolated thunderstorms from early August to August 22nd, 12th through the 22nd. So it doesn't look like we're really going to see too much activity. It says a few storms July 22nd to the 31st in the region here that's highlighted in white, because Southern California on the coastal region doesn't experience monsoons. It's only in this desert area from New Mexico, Texas, and Phoenix. Okay, So the Farmer's Almanac isn't always right, and it's a regional, it's not city specific, but we're not really seeing anything come up that says that a monsoon is on the horizon. And even if we look at, say, the Phoenix weather forecast, you can see, look at this. From Thursday till next Thursday, so the 7-day forecast, 112, 112, 111, 112, 114, 113, 108, 109. Where in there do you see anything that says chance of thunderstorms? In fact, we have an excessive heat warning going on in the Phoenix metro area, which you can access here, public alerts. Excessive heat warning remains in effect from 10 a.m. this morning to 8 p.m. Saturday. Portions of south central Arizona, including much of the Phoenix metropolitan area, impacts overexposure can cause heat cramps and heat exhaustion to develop, and without intervention can lead to heat stroke. So this excessive heat is why you need an air conditioner in your car and in your house, because it is hot. Now, here's the thing. It's weird because I'll go outside. It's not that unbearable. The heat, yeah, it's 112 degrees and it's hot when I get in and out of my car. But I'm not like overwhelmed by it because it's not very muggy. But then again, I was working in my backyard last night and I was building up a sweat just by just kind of doing moderate activity, even at night, which was kind of like a sign of humidity, which should indicate monsoon activity, right? Because humidity, moisture, all that. So what else is everyone else saying? So Fox 10, one of the local news outlets, is saying so far the 2019 monsoon season has been calm, and that's at least in the Phoenix area, because we have heard that the Mogollon Rim area, eastern Arizona, has had some monsoon activity, which means that it should be coming down here. So monsoon season officially started a few weeks ago, but the state has experienced no dust or rain so far. The dry summer comes after summer 2018, which was one of the most active monsoon seasons in recent memory. So 2018 was a very active monsoon year. 2019 so far, El No-Show, if we're talking El Nino, right? So here's a picture of a haboob that you can see. So when you start seeing clouds like this, I forget what they're called. Maybe they're called cumulus clouds. I don't know. Some of you guys who are meteorologists or could help correct me on my clouds, but there is a name for that type of cloud. And these are thunder clouds, thunderstorm clouds. They build up in the sky high. They tower. And under here, you can see the dust that they were talking about. This is Camelback Mountain right there. That looks like Scottsdale area right here. And that's right in the flight plan for, because that would be McCormick Ranch, right? This is right in the flight plan for Sky Harbor. All right. So monsoon awareness, prepare for monsoon, turn around, don't drown. But this is on the ein.az.gov. They're telling you when it comes, be prepared. That's why the news talks about it. But we talked about it in that video we made about be aware of the laws, the stupid driver law. If you see a flash flood and it's occurring and you're used to crossing the area, that bridge or that creek or that wash, if there's water running through it, even if it's not usually there, don't go across it, because if you do, you're doing it at your own risk. And if they have to, I think the insurance won't even cover it if something bad happens, and you also have to pay for the rescue. It's called the stupid motorist law, which we talked about in the video 2 days ago. You can check the channel if you haven't already seen that video, where we talk about the laws that you need to know about in Arizona, like don't cut down cactuses and stuff like that. All right, so this is on EIN, AZEIN. You can follow them on Twitter. Twitter is a great place. We might even have to create a Twitter for this account here, or for AZ Living in Arizona. So here's some timely tips. Stay safe during Arizona's monsoon season. The towering, often terrifying thunderstorms that signal the start of Arizona's monsoon season typically begin in mid-June and last through the end of September. But meteorologists say we'll likely see a delayed start this year. The meteorology department at Embry-Riddle University in Prescott this week predicted a much later start to the summer rainy season. Monsoons in northern Arizona, for example, usually show up around the 4th of July, but that could be delayed by a couple weeks. So they're saying it's still coming. Just because it's not here doesn't mean it's not still coming. So this is on Cronkite News, Arizona PBS. I really like this website. This is one of my favorite. This is old school Arizona, Cronkite News. You might want to, this is one of your more reliable news networks in Phoenix, Arizona. They're all pretty good, honestly. I like them all. Fox 10, Arizona's Family, 12 News, Arizona 15. But I like Cronkite because it's Arizona PBS, and I grew up getting a lot of information from PBS. Okay, so right here, how wildfires and monsoons threaten Arizona's precious water supply. So you can see this is on Phoenix New Times, another news agency that says, next to Apache Lake, the southern bank of the Salt River rises in a palette of tans and browns dotted with green stubble. Pathway up the slope, summer desert hues stop abruptly at a horizontal fire line. Above it, the land converts to purplish black summer desert signed by wildfire. So lightning can bring fire, okay? Rain can put out fire. So monsoons have this, and then they have this really unique relationship with engineers because they can create fires, they can put out fires, they can create floods, they can break dams, they can create new waterways. I mean, all sorts of different things can come about from the summer monsoon season. And then, so if you just want to know what monsoon is in general, you can see the North American monsoon is not as strong or persistent as the Indian counterpart, mainly because the Mexican plateau is not as high or as large as the Tibetan plateau in Asia. However, the North American monsoon shares most of the basic characteristics of its Indian counterpart. So in India, they get a monsoon season just like they get here in the desert. There's a shift in wind patterns in summer, which occurs as Mexico and the southwestern U.S. warm under intense solar heating. As this happens, the flow reverses, the prevailing winds start to flow, and moist ocean areas into dry land areas. The monsoon begins in late May, which obviously we haven't seen any activity in May, June, or even here early July. But you can see it's late. That's why we're making this video. Where is it? So the patterns of rainfall, they vary. But you can see some of the stuff that, some of the ways that a monsoon would look on the desert. It's a nice way to end the day after a hot day. Something else to keep in mind is as Phoenix grows, like the concrete, the pavement, the housing, and all of that man-made environment, that creates like a radiation. Like the concrete is hotter, or the ground is hotter when it's concrete or black tar for pavement. And that creates a radiation that can actually create a pressure that can block out some of the clouds. That's why in recent years, they speculate that the reason we don't get as strong of monsoons as we used to get is because of the concrete jungle. So something to keep in mind. Anyways, guys, thanks for subscribing and keeping up with Living in Arizona. Also, check out our group, Living in Arizona, and our new group, if you're thinking about moving to Phoenix, called Phoenix Metro. Links below. We'll see you guys next time.